Hey guys, today I'm going to show you how to macro in the Grow a Garden Bizzy Bees update so that you can get all of the rarest honey items and royal jelly items in the new Bizzy Bees update, as well as automatically buying all of the eggs in this bee eggs shop so you never have to miss out on that 5% transcendent bee egg. And the macro can even harvest all of the plants in your garden and put them into the compressor so you don't run out of honey coins. Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to do is you need to have AutoHotkey installed on your computer. So you can do that by going to autohotkey.com, which I'll link in the description. Click on this big green download button, and then you want to download v1.1. Make sure you do not download v2.0 because the macro cannot work with that. Then up here, it will download the file. Once this is done downloading, you would run the setup file and go through the setup process. Then, once you have AutoHotkey installed, you need to go to my GitHub page to download the actual macro. Now, if you already have the macro installed on your computer, you do not need to re-download it. It will automatically update the next time you open it. But if you do not have it, you can go to this page, which I'll link in the description, and then you want to scroll down, and right here where it says source code zip, click on that, and it's going to download the files. You're going to want to open this up, and then you want to right-click, click Extract All, then you're going to want to click Browse, and then you get to choose exactly where you want the macro to be on your computer. I'm just going to put mine on my desktop, then click Select Folder, then click Extract. Then it'll take a second to extract the files. And then once that's done, it'll open up a folder like this. And to run the macro, you're going to want to run this macro.ahk file. So just double click on that, and then it will open up the macro. Now let's go over all of the settings in the macro and how to use them. So on the starting screen, you'll see right here, we have 4 buttons: Shops, Events and Crafting, Settings, and Start. So first let's click on the Shops button. Then it'll open up some more buttons: Seeds, Gears, Eggs, and Merchants. If you click on one of these, let's just click on the Seeds, it will give you a list of all of the seeds in the game. Now, you can use these checkboxes to individually select all of the seeds that you would like the macro to buy, or down at the bottom, you can use the Select All button. And once you select all of them, it changes to Select None, so you don't have to uncheck all of the checkboxes if you decide you don't want them all later. So you can click Select All, then click Done, and it'll bring you back to the main menu. You can do the same thing with the gears, eggs, and all of the merchants that are currently in the game. Okay, so once we're done with the shop section, let's take a look at the settings. So once you click on the settings button, it'll open up this menu. You'll see you have 4 tabs at the top: General, Hotkeys, Positioning, and Reconnect. So let's start off with the General tab. You'll see we have a checkbox for Auto Align Camera. 100% leave this on. Turning it off will just make you have to do so much more work, and if you mess up manually aligning the camera, then the macro will not be able to get across the map. Then we have this Auto Harvest checkbox. We can check and uncheck this, and once you do check it, it'll give you this box for how often you want it to harvest your garden. So by default, it will harvest every 30 minutes. If you do not want it to harvest every 30 minutes, you can change that number. So let's say we want it to harvest every 15 minutes instead. But I'm just going to leave it as 30. Then we have the auto sell plants. If you are using your honey garden, this will not work because you cannot click on the sell button. So if you are using your honey garden, which you should, you want to make sure auto sell plants is turned off. Then we have use event lanterns. This doesn't really apply to the Bizzy Bees event because the macro can just click on the compress button and get right to the middle of the map. But in other events, you can use the event lanterns to automatically teleport you to the event. Now let's take a look at the hotkeys tab. So first you'll see we have 3 hotkeys for start, pause, and stop. These are just the buttons that you'll use to start, pause, and stop the macro. So by default, it's F1 for start, F2 for pause, and F3 for stop, but you can change these to be whatever keys you would like. Then below those, we have the recall wrench slot and the event lantern slot. Now, for your recall wrench slot, that will just be whatever number hotbar slot you keep your recall wrenches in, and the same thing for the event lanterns. Then, over in the positioning tab, we have the set backpack button position. This isn't currently used for anything, so you don't need to worry about that. But now this is an important tab, the reconnect tab. So, this will work if you get disconnected from the game for whatever reason, the macro will automatically reconnect you. So you can do that by turning on this auto reconnect button. Then up here, if you're using a private server, you can paste in a link. Now I want to show you how to get that link because it's not as simple as it seems. So if you go to edit your private server on Roblox, then you can scroll down here, it has your private server link. You want to copy that, and this is not the link you're going to paste in. You're going to want to go to the top and select this, and you're going to want to paste in the link up at the top. Then you're going to press enter, and it will take you to a new link, and then this is the link you want to copy and paste into the macro. So then you can go ahead, paste that in there. Or if you don't have a private server, you can use the join public server option, but this is not recommended because people do not like it when people are just AFK in public servers and it takes up space. So please macro in a private server. They are free. Now, if you want to make sure that your game will actually reconnect if you get disconnected, you can use this test reconnect button, and it will simulate joining the game like it would if you did actually get disconnected. So once you're done editing your settings, you can click on save. And now let's go over to the events and crafting tab. So first up, we have the seed crafting menu. You can choose any of the seeds that you would like to craft, or you can choose this none option. Notice you can only choose one seed at a time. Then click on done, and it's the exact same thing with all the normal crafting items. Then we have the Bizzy event, what you all came to this video for. So over on the left, we have buttons for the shops. So we have the Honeycoins shop, with all of these items. Just like the regular shops, you can use the checkboxes to select what items you would like the macro to buy. The same thing for the Honey Seeds shop, the Royal Jelly shop, and the Bee Eggs shop. And then over on the right, we have 3 checkboxes. Honey Garden active. Now, if you are macroing with your Honey Garden on, you won't need to leave this checkbox on, or else it will not work. But if you are not macroing with your Honey Garden on, you can turn this off, and it will macro like normal. This is important because the camera is auto-aligned by teleporting from the seeds to the cell, which puts it in a perfect angle, but there is not a perfect angle between the seeds and the compress shop. So then the macro has to turn your camera to put it at a perfect angle, like this. But the camera turn will actually make it so the angle is off if you are not macroing with the Honey Garden on. So you need to make sure that this setting is correct so that the macro can get around the map like it's supposed to. Then we have auto compress. This is pretty self-explanatory. What it'll do is it goes over to the compressor, collects anything that's already in here, then just talks to the guy and does compress all my pollinated plants. So if you do have plants that you don't want to get compressed, make sure you go into your inventory and favorite them by right-clicking on them so that they will not get put into the compressor. And then finally we have the Use Pollen Radars option. This will only show up if auto harvest is already turned on, so in case it's not showing up for you, that is why. You can turn this on if you want the macro to use pollen radars, which are more accurate in collecting all of your plants. Now, just like with the plants in your inventory, if there are plants that you do not want to get harvested, make sure you go over with a favorite tool and favorite them so the macro will not accidentally collect them. And then once you turn on use pollen radars, you just need to tell it which hotbar slot your pollen radars are in. And then finally we have the Season Pass shop. This is all of the items in the current Season Pass. And if you want to macro this, so you don't miss out on getting the rare prismatic seed. Okay, that's all the settings with the actual macro. Now let's just go over a couple settings in Roblox so that macro will work properly. So if we go up to the Roblox menu, we can click on settings. You want to make sure your shift lock switch is turned off. Your camera mode does not matter, the macro will detect what it is and change it as needed. Your camera sensitivity should be set to 1 because, like I said, the macro needs to be able to turn the camera because the compressor does not put it at a perfect angle. And this is the most important setting. You need to have UI navigation toggle turned on. If this is not turned on, the macro will not be able to interact with the UIs in the shops, so you will not be getting any items. Okay, so that is all of the settings that we are going to go over. Now, I just want to say, if you do find any bugs or something is not working, I am more than happy to help you fix those issues, so just leave me a comment. If you want, you can send me a link to a video of what's happening so that I can see exactly what is wrong and what needs to be fixed. So then, once you're ready to start the macro, you can press the F1 key or use the start button or whatever other hotkey you might have changed it to. Then you press that and the macro will start aligning your camera and going on with all of its actions. Then you can just press F3 to stop it and it will pop back up on your screen. Okay, that is all. Thank you guys so much for watching and downloading the macro. I hope this helps you a lot so that you can get all those rare seeds even while you're not actively playing the game. Bye!